We are doing our project on food waste by Alexa Navasio, Zoe Horn, Lauren Langle, and Tori Duvall.
The basic definition. Food waste is defined as edible material intended for human consumption that is discarded, lost, degraded, or consumed by pests as food travels from harvest to consumer.
Food waste or food loss is food that is discarded or lost or uneaten. The causes of food waste or loss are numerous and occur at stages of production, processing, retailing, and consumption.
There are many different ways that food waste is possible.
Produce can be damaged through agricultural production. Crops can get damaged by the machines used to harvest it. They can also get invaded by pests, infected by disease, damaged by abnormal weather, and the surplus crops can be thrown away due to low prices.
Food can be wasted during the harvest of crops. It can be damaged due to improper handling of foods, storage, or during the transportation. Food is also wasted through a process called culling, which is the sorting out of the misshapen foods.
It can also be damaged through the processing of food during peeling, slicing, and boiling. Also during any packaging malfunctions, or if the food is not stored properly, they will throw it away.
Food can be wasted during its distribution. It can be damaged due to incorrect temperatures and handling. The food can spoil before reaching its destination by reaching its expiration date and will get thrown away.
Food can also become food waste through losses in retail. Food can become overstocked and not bought in time. Ready-made food can also go bad and be chucked out. Special occasion offers, like during the holidays, for example, Thanksgiving, but these foods are thrown out afterwards.
Food consumption also has a lot of waste. Through food services, like restaurants, in your own home, eating school lunches, and even hospital food. Most foods are either unsold or uneaten and are just wasted.
In Greek and Roman civilizations, hunting was for sport, not food. They wasted bread to wash their hands. There were some preservation methods using salt to conserve grapes and such. Celtics and Germanics didn't waste much food because of the status of warriors, or how much food they could eat at once. Otherwise, the food would go bad not far afterwards.
In the Middle Ages, the Chinese preserved fish in salted rice under heavy stone. The rice was then thrown out. People had leftovers and tried not to waste food. In the 1300s, upper class would have feasts in which great amounts of food were wasted because of how much they had to begin with in their feast. More modern, the 1600s had food decorations that were just wasted. In the 1800s, they would sell stale bread half off. There were lots of food waste reduction programs during World War I and II. For example, the Clean Plate Club in 1917 and later in 1930s, during the Great Depression. There was a state nutrition committee in 1941 in Oregon. Soldiers in war encouraged not to waste food especially.
About 1 billion people in the world already suffer from hunger and malnourishment. Making food takes 10% of the U.S. energy budget. Over 50% of land, 80% of fresh water, and about 40% of food produced is wasted each year. Obesity can sometimes be considered a form of food waste as well. Releases 23% methane emissions.
Here are some comparisons. Some pros is that food waste can be used as fertilizer, it can be used as animal feed, and it could be used as energy or fuel production. There are more cons than there are pros though. Some cons is that food waste is an inefficient way of fertilizer. Also, the food quality that we throw away can still be used to feed people. Food waste also wastes half of the amount of food that we produce. And while we are throwing out a ton of food, there are people that are starving that could use that food that we throw out.
Current events involving food waste. South Korea made a law to not throw out so much food. There are fines if you do. The Rockefeller Foundation Waste Food Initiatives are now put into action. There are many projects to cut food waste, like that one. We have food banks all over the world. Love Food, Hate Waste Committee.
Some examples in food waste are that in Europe alone, 29 million tons of dairy products are lost or wasted every year. Farmers would take the food that looks weird but is still edible, or culling, and give it to food banks. School lunches get $2 million worth of food wasted each year. In urban areas, trees are grown with fruits, nuts, etc., but then are never harvested.
Here are a few charts and maps about U.S. food waste. This first one is U.S. food waste disposal data. The majority of it is residential food waste, which takes up 44% of all food waste in America. This chart shows the different types of food loss in all of the regions. As you can see, North America's majority of food loss is through consumption, while Sub-Saharan Africa's majority of food loss is through production. This map is a map that we made ourselves using the annual food waste by region. The dark green in North America and Australia is 110 kilograms per person of food waste. That is the most food waste. The least food waste in Sub-Saharan Africa is 10 kilograms per person. That is the least food waste. And the key goes basically darkest green is the most, and then it gets lighter and lighter as there's less food waste in that region.
In conclusion, 40% of all food is wasted. This includes food waste through agricultural production, harvest, processing, distribution, retail, and consumption.
Throughout history, there have been many different ways of wasting food. Food waste is relevant because of how it impacts the world, like how it wastes money.
There are good, like it being used as fertilizer, and bad things, such as how it wastes half of what we produce, about food waste. Fortunately, there are programs that help to stop it.
There are current events and examples that link to food waste. There are also graphs that represent it.
And that was our outlook on food waste.
Thank you for watching!